Good morning, September 7th, 2022. It's 9 o'clock straight up. And this is Windows Daily number 49. Yeah, 49. I wasn't sure if I was looking at yesterday's video or today's video. I'm going to get a confirmation here of my audio coming through. Today's video. There it is. I'm going to go back to the beginning and make sure, yeah, we did catch the beginning. So then I'll mute that, go to live. And there are quite a few entries in the chat room. Not going to read through them at this point because that's not part of these Windows Daily episodes. Let's take a look at yesterday's chat because there's some things I want to catch up on and deal with today. And actually, there's a couple other topics not related to Macrium Reflect at all that I want to deal with today. You know what? I should do those first. Yeah, I should. Oh, okay. Let me go bring this one up. I didn't pre-prepare this one. And I'm not telling you right now what it was. Oh, yeah. It's okay. On this, on my shortcut folder up here called Fortnite, I have at the bottom added Boston Red Sox tickets. How is that a Fortnite item? Well, I saw this on Ken Stout Live. And I thought, okay, I got to go show something on this. Ken was trying to find how to find these tickets that were $4,500. And here's a slider right up here. You can slide the low end down and bring it up to here. So you're closing it down to just a small amount. And what it tells us, there's no tickets that match your filters. So maybe that's just a number that's set there because sometimes it's used, or maybe those seats are already sold out. So if you move this slider around, you can find tickets for any particular price range. So you want to bring it down to here, then we see just those tickets. Bring it up here, then we see only tickets that are in that price range. So I just had to go chime in on that. And then another one is that Dennis this morning in our Fortnite said that he's got a computer that's spontaneously rebooting. And so I want to give a couple pointers about that. Got a computer that's spontaneously rebooting or having any other kind of symptoms. So we go into Event Viewer. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but you want to go into Event Viewer. It's very quick to come in here to this. I always struggle to find where that summary is. That's not the summary. That's not the summary. Oh, here it is on Event Viewer Local. So here you get error warning and stuff. You're looking for what happened in the last hour because this computer actually rebooted on him. So expand, look for what's happened in the last hour and expand that section and go look at what's in there. Now, there's a lot of stuff in there that maybe is not understandable, but you're just looking for some kind of word that's a clue as to what's going on. Then another piece to do is just go into Windows Updates. I do that with Windows key and Update Settings and check to see if there are any optional updates for you to do. I don't have any optional updates showing here for Big Beast build, so we're not going to see anything come up. But what can happen there is if one of the elements on your computer is causing a problem, the vendor for that, the manufacturer of that, might issue an fixed update, but it's not sent out to everybody. It's only intended for the people that are having trouble with it. Yeah, we're not going to restart that now because this is the computer I'm streaming on. So if there are, the fix may be sitting out there waiting for you to just go apply it. So try that. And Dennis and I didn't discuss it at all in depth, but so those are just basics. Since somebody asked about it, it's worth going back and pointing that out. Now, is that all of my things here? Yes. So now let's go into chat from yesterday. That was Daily 48. I can't pop out the chat here. I think here's the first question. No, it's not the first question I want. Is it? Oh, Ran Israel pointed out there's no incrementals in the free version. So there are differentials in the free version. And that made total sense to me once he gave me that confirmation. Oh, yeah, duh, of course. Because it's more work for Macrium Reflect to do incrementals. And when you're doing the intended pattern is for the grandfather, father, and then child or son, whatever it's called. So it's the first level, and then the second level you get to do is the differentials. And each differential is everything that has changed since the full backup. The differentials do not add to the prior differential. It's everything since the full backup. So that means each differential is higher than the prior differential. That's not true with incrementals. You can have an incremental that's large, and the next incremental can be smaller than that, because incrementals are only the things that have changed since the last incremental. Then let's move on right down to here. If you run a full, then a differential, then an incremental, does the incremental start from the end of the full or the end of the differential? Neither. If you run a full, then a differential, then an incremental, the incremental is going to be everything since the last incremental. Well, if there wasn't a prior incremental, then it would be since the last differential. The next incremental is going to be everything since the last incremental. The next incremental is going to be, well, down here, it's going to be everything since the prior incremental. So each incremental is the subsequent from the prior incremental. If you do an incremental backup on Sunday, how does the differential backup on Monday know what to back up? Well, that was an interesting question, and I went to look on it a little bit. I was speculating that possibly Macrium Reflect for the differential uses the built-in archive flag in the file system for the files. My conclusion is no, it does not. And the way I concluded that is I went back here to this file that was on September 2nd. A full backup has been done since then. So if I right-click on this and go to Properties and then look in Advanced Attributes, I see file is ready for archiving. That used to be the method that backup software would use to determine if a file needs to be backed up. What it would do is back up the file, and then it would remove that flag, saying that it's not needing to be backed up because it has been backed up. Well, this proved to me that Macrium Reflect and probably other modern day backup softwares do not use that archiving flag. They must be maintaining their own database of what has been backed up. And so then when it sees a file has been changed since the last incremental or last differential in its database, then it knows to do that one again. It may be doing a live comparison. I suspect it is doing a live comparison of the files during a differential backup to compare it to the full backup to see if it was contained in there. I'm sure it maintains a complete index of all the file names that are contained in each of these different backups and knows what to do by virtue of that. Unless consolidation means you convert the last 6 incremental backups to a new differential backups, I don't think so. I don't think so because of how quickly it performs that step. As you're watching the backup run, you can see the job where it does the purges. And it doesn't take long enough to actually be performing a new backup. What I suspect is being done, as you can see evidenced here, how large this one was a incremental backup, how large this is by comparison to the full backup. This incremental does not contain everything that's in the full backup. It contains all of the prior incrementals. Now, I think I probably answered that during yesterday's session, and Rand may have got his answer from that. Now, I do want to come back to this point at 1646. I have that noted, so I'm going to go to the end and see what else we have here. Let's see, that one I just looked at it didn't stay highlighted, did it? Yeah, there we go, that one. Incremental backup on Sunday, yeah, I read that one. Consolidation, read that one. Londog's making a couple comments here about things that have been useful. I'm not going to read through those. Being able to add Windows version also important. I want to experiment a little bit with that today. Then let's see, comments portion necessary. Yeah, so I haven't got any confirmation from anybody about whether comments is in the free version or not. All right, now let's look at comments on this video. El Galena says the latest version seems to have eliminated the ability to name a full backup, which does not include the long string of alphanumerics. I'm presuming what El Galena means is that serial number code. And that Galena is saying that it wants to be able to do the full backup without having that string. I find that undesirable. All I need is the image name. All I need in the image name is the media name on which it resides and date created. On channel, now, how am I going to respond to that? I'm going to go look at some other things about naming today, but I haven't checked for updates. So maybe I do that today, maybe I do that tomorrow and report back on it. Let's go look at channel comments. The only thing there was that one from Galena. All right, so now let's move on to, this is today's video, right? Yeah, live. And nothing else here being noted to me about problems with the stream. So then let's go into Macrium Reflect. A couple points that I'm interested in looking at here. Purging evidence. The incrementals are supposed to be retained for 30 days. So I'm going to go take a look at something there. Now, if we come over here to the existing backups tab, each of these serial numbers, this is the backup job that I created. This one with a unique serial name number, different than this one, which is different than this one. Each of these, each time that it does a full backup, that's a new serial number. And what is the oldest in this list? That one started August 11th. This full backup was May 12th. This full backup was April 14th. Notice there are no incrementals and no differentials under that. Well, at this period in time for that backup job called Rebuild Progression, I didn't select differentials. So everything in here is incrementals. And you can see that some of these incrementals are larger than the prior incrementals. And that's your evidence that it's not a cumulative. Each incremental is only doing the changes since the last incremental. When we get some differentials under our belt for the job that I created yesterday, then we'll be able to see that behavior. But this one down here, that's a full backup and there are no incrementals beyond that. Well, that was a few months ago, right? Incrementals are only retained for 30 days. So they've all been eliminated. I do not think that they have been incorporated into this full backup, judging by the size of it. You know, the way these incrementals have been consolidating, I don't think they consolidate into the full backup. Did we have any verbiage here about that? Incrementals, retain incremental values for 30 days. The oldest incremental may be consolidated. So that piece is a little unclear to me right now. Let's go look at this one, beginning with 9/7 and looking at the incrementals under it. These dates under it have, on this screen, show their correct dates. So that was a full backup that began May 12th. And the incrementals that we still have are, what, almost 3 months beyond that. So we know that incrementals only are stored for 30 days. So what's the oldest incremental we have here? August 7th. Is that 30 days ago? Yes, it is. So then tomorrow, do we expect this one to go away? Well, we might if this backup job was still in operation, but it's not. Remember, I put it inactive. I marked it inactive yesterday or the day before. So today, August 7th, is the oldest one there. If I come back, what was the oldest one that was there yesterday? Well, we know that because we can go back to yesterday's video. It's this one, right? Yeah, number 48, and I'll go to 1646 in that video, which happens to be a place where I was displaying that screen. And I'll make this big. That serial number that we're interested in was the one that begins with 9/7, and August 7th is the date. So here's 9/7, and We don't see any August 7th. However, I was messing around with some things about comments. So let's pay attention to these numbers. This was 66-66 and 66-67. Why is that numbering scheme so, why is it repetitive? I'm suspecting it might have to do with the absence of the differentials. And we'll see that once the current update scheme gets past a week. So 66, 67. What do we have here? 66, 67. All right. Nothing has been deleted since yesterday, and I believe that's because I made that backup job inactive. If it was still active, we should have seen something delete. That August 7th is 30 days ago, right? No, it's not. It's 31 days ago. Because, well, there were 31 days in July, so account for that, but then also account for the 0 days. If you go from August 7th to September 7th, you got that extra starting day that you're actually counting. That's putting too fine of a point on it. Now, my next note, that was about purging evidence. And then do deactivated jobs still purge? And I think we see here the answer is no. But I'm not going to go delete those files intentionally. I'm going to see more evidence about it. And then the next one I want to go to is that bracket information for these definition files and the way they were named. When we create a new backup, and I showed those variables that we can add to it, what I wanted to do is see if, this is the new job, see if I can add those variables to this name after the job's already been created. So I'm going to right click and do edit. And here's that backup file name down here. So if I add some other parameters to it, Macrium major minor build number, I'm about to do an update to Macrium, right? So I'm going to take that one. Let it display that one. Backup type is a full, differential, or incremental. Now we do see that in the column when we're looking at existing backups, but we don't see that in File Explorer. Because File Explorer over here, this doesn't really give us any statement as to whether it's a full, a differential, or an incremental. These only have the name of the backup job, and we can perhaps deduce it with these numbers if they wind up telling us that. So I'm going to go ahead and add that also. Backup type. Now maybe I should put some hyphens between each of these so that they can be more visually obvious. Because maybe some of these numbers will just kind of sandwich together. And I've never experienced with these. Compression, no, I don't care about that. AES, that would be for you know, when they scramble the file. You know how I am with words. And then WinVer, this is going to show when Windows has updated. Let's see, I got to get that hyphen in there. This is going to be a really long file name, right? I probably should test it. PC name, no, I don't need that. Username, no. Domain, no. ISO date, formatted date and time. Ken, here's a heads up for you. I think I'm going to be finished early today or on time. Year with a century, year without a century. No, don't need that. Month name, no. Abbreviated month name. Week number, nah, not really. Day, week, full weekday name, no. Abbreviated weekday name, different ways to give hours and time and minutes. So nothing else there I'm interested in. And I think that's enough. Because that shows me when some kind of a change has happened. That could be interesting. So here I'm trying to change the name of that backup file after this backup job has already begun. Now, before I say that, I'm going to come over here and go show you what it currently looks like. Right here, I'm in the wrong folder. We can't see the backups that's been done over the last couple of days. If I come down here to Macrium backups, here's the backups that have been done the last couple of days. This one here would be the full backup, and it says 00-00. And then this one would have been that first incremental. This was an incremental, not a differential. Because we're going to do a week's worth of incrementals, then we're going to do a differential. Then we're going to do incrementals after that. Now, when we see that, it's going to help some of you who've asked some questions. If you haven't already realized the answer already, it'll give you a visual representation of that family tree. Okay, so there I have my modified name. And as a reminder, if I don't want that image ID, which is that long serial number, then I could come into Advanced Options and Backup Set File Name and remove that check mark. Now that's where I think it was Galinda, if I'm remembering the name right. I think that person was implying that that capability is no longer present in the most recent version. Now, is that the most recent free version or home version or professional version? That would be another question. So next, and then here's where I can change the amounts of time. And if I wanted to, oh, notice this, the default is 14 days for incrementals. So I must have previously changed that. Or maybe when you're doing the grandfather, father, son, maybe that gives different defaults than the differential backup set. Now, actually, that prior backup set that I had, I didn't use any of these templates. I created a full backup and then I created incrementals. I didn't take any of these templates. And the way that I see that is that none of these templates are grandfather and incrementals or grandfather and son. So grandfather is the full backups. Father is the differential backups. Son is the incremental backups. And interesting thing here, so incremental is son, differential is father. So the way this starts, good luck with any of you doing this with your family tree, is to start with the grandfather and then have a son before a father exists. I don't think we can do that in the real world. Get the father and go straight from grandfather to son. Now, I know there's some grandfathers out there that have adopted the grandson. You know, the son in this case is actually a grandson. In fact, my nephew has done exactly that. He has adopted his grandchildren because their parents weren't able to be parents to those grandchildren. So that's a thing that happens in the real world. Now, I'm not going to make any changes there because I don't want to change this basic backup that's been configured. So I'll click Next here and then click Finish. And there's no prompt here about doing the backup now because I was just editing that existing backup job. Now what I'm interested to find out is tomorrow, when we look at the backup job that runs tonight, how does the file name look? I suspect that the next incremental that'll be done tonight is going to have the more complex file name, but the files that have already been created will not be changed, will not be altered by those changes that I just made. Okay? Now, this part about the comment in the field, that was a comment that I put specifically on that file. So let's go back and try modifying that. Let's come back here to this job, go to Edit, then come to Advanced Options, and then Comments. So, that's right. I put in that comment and it showed up in last night's incremental backup. All right, so I'm going to change that again and say this is daily backups. And I'm going to say comment edited 9/7/2022. Just kind of pushing the issue here. Heads up, Ken, I'm just about to the end here. Next. Anything else here I want to change? No. Got through all the things on my list. Go take a look at chat, see if there's anything you're trying to alert me to. Looking at the end, let's see. Oh, I got it. Oops, that's not today. Go to today. I'm showing live right here. You know, some of you got hit once in a while where you're not seeing something that you expect to be seeing on video and you put that into chat. Well, you should come here and check if you have this live button. If you have gone back in DVR mode, like for instance, the J key is going to take you back by 10 seconds. J again goes back another 10 seconds. You're no longer watching live. So you can click right here where that dot is to instantly get back to the right side of the graph. There's stuff by Lawn Dog. Ken says, okay. I'm going to go read through those later, because there's more there than I want to read right now. Installed in a virtual machine. Virtual machine to be able to, oh, no. Macrium Reflect is not running from a virtual machine. Good question. Let's get on another subject. I have done this many times where a backup is running while I'm using the computer. I have some of my clients, because they're bigger clients, they just insist on shutting their computer down. So I have backups running during the day. You've got a reasonably competent computer, those Macrium Reflect backups running in the background while you're using the computer, even a full image backup will work with current Windows operating systems, Windows 10 and above. I'm not sure about below that. And that's because there's a thing called volume shadow services. Wintermute will give me more correct me on that if I'm wrong about that. But it gives the capability for backup software to back up files that are in use. It works. A little more complicated if you're dealing with SQL Server files, but for basic computer programs, data that you work using, they will back up. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you do a full backup while you have a web browser open, while you have a document open on your screen, I think I have seen this happen where later I go restore that backup and it restores with that document open at the same point that it was at when the backup job got to that point of backing up that file. Now that would only be if it's a OneDrive file where it's being backed up as you're working on it. If you're not using OneDrive and let's say you've typed some text and you save the document and then you type up more stuff and then you run the backup while you continue working on the document. I think if you restore that backup, or even if you just go browse through the backup, you're going to find the last saved position. So you do not have to shut down your programs to do a backup with Macrium Reflect, and I suspect that's true for all modern backup softwares. Perhaps not Windows backup. I haven't even looked at what the state of that is. Microsoft has always provided a Windows backup within the operating system. It's never been very good. So, not sure about that. There, 9:28. Should I bluster on more to get to Ken's starting time of 2 minutes? Or should I very rapidly end the video and say thanks for watching? Hope that was useful. Catch you later. Goodbye.